Top of the morning, everyone. My name is Tshidi and I'm back with another video. Today's video is about how to nail virtual interviews. Guys, I think for everybody else in the world, virtual interviews have become the new norm. They've become the new way of doing things. They become way in which we actually communicate. They become ways in which we actually get jobs. Always be authentic so that even when that person meets you, there is nothing that actually shocks them about you. So those are some of the things that we need to always remember. Now, since the pandemic also, environments where we used to always have face-to-face interviews have now completely changed, in the sense that we now actually get to do quite a lot of interviews. You can actually go through 5 or 6 interviews where it's all done virtually. And those are some of the beautiful things about being able to be in an environment like ours, is that you're able to now use, whether it's Zoom, Microsoft Teams, Skype, or any other platforms that exist, to be able to actually do interviews. So what I'm trying to do is to prepare you guys on how to prepare for the best virtual interview possible that you can ever have. And it's also very, very important that at least you try and follow some of these things. It's basically the top 10 ways in which you nail your virtual interview. I think that the one that is necessarily unspoken is always be prepared. Like, you need to be prepared in your research about the company and everything that they do. So number one, test your technology. The biggest mistake that people make is to say, cool, my laptop works, so that's fine. And you don't check what technology your client sent you. Did they send you a Zoom invite? Did they send you a Google Meets? Did they send you a Teams invite? What did they send you the invite on? So you need to be able to test whether there's a web browser for what you're looking for and the kind of interview that you will have. Make sure that you test your technology. And also, because remember, these days, everybody expects you to be technology savvy. You need to be ready to be able to run around and fix 1 or 2 other things. So make sure that before any interview, number one, you test your technology. Number 2, you need to set your scene and minimize the distractions. So one of the things that people make that always makes it very difficult for interviews is you go through an interview and your cell phone, you forgot to put it on silent. You forgot to close your mail application that you might have on your desktop, and you might have a presentation that you're actually doing, and then this thing pops up and people are actually looking at, then there's that email where you're trying to close it because it's either an email where somebody's asking you something that they shouldn't be able to see. So make sure that you set your scene very well, and you make sure that there's very little distraction that's happening. It could be physical distraction, 10 of your TVs, 10 of everything that's out there, and make sure that you're ready for any interview that might come your way. The third thing is sit down prepared. And when I say sit down prepared, is just because your computer is working doesn't necessarily mean that, or just because you're sitting there in front of the computer doesn't mean that you need to now start searching for the answers as people do speak, because we can see when you're now typing, when somebody starts asking you a question, we can all see that you're trying to actually find an answer on the web. So it's very, very important that you've researched the company, you understand well in advance before that interview exactly what to expect out of that particular interview. You jot down notes for easy reference so that you can just refer to them. And some of the things that you need to prepare common answers for are: why are you interested in this role? What do you know about our company? What are your biggest weaknesses? What do you consider to be the biggest professional achievement? Tell me about a challenge at work and how to deal with it, how you dealt with it. What are you looking for in a new position? Why are you leaving your current employer? As one of the videos that I've actually just done, why did you leave your current employer? And I think the other thing that a lot of people never prepare for is tell me about yourself. So for some of you guys that want to see that video, I've done a video up here that focuses on tell me about yourself, which is giving you the best way in which you can actually answer that question. So be ready to answer some of those questions, because they are the common questions that people actually ask you, and you need to be prepared to answer those. We always say try not to memorize your answers, but practice them. ask your friend, call somebody that you know and say to them, hey, listen, can you please help me through these things, ask me these questions, and see how I'll actually answer them, and give me some tips. So please practice them. Do not memorize them, because the problem with memorizing these type of things is that unfortunately what then happens is that on the interview you forget everything. The fourth thing is practice, do not memorize. As I've said in the previous one, is that, guys, you need to be able to practice as much as you can. Make sure that you actually try and get somebody to actually sit with you and go through this. This is how you make sure that you nail an interview, because the thing about a virtual interview is that the only way they can actually connect with you is how much attention you pay to the panel. Now, if you actually haven't practiced some of the things that you can answer, you will normally fumble. So practice some of those things. Number 5 is monitor your body language. Now, your body language is also one of those things where in previous environments, you could go and shake a line manager's hand. Remember, we used to have conversations in the past when we said how to nail a job interview. Make sure that you have a firm hand, a firm handshake. Do not just give those. So unfortunately, you can't do that anymore. So your biggest firm handshake is the contact with the panel, and making sure that you actually watch your body language. Do not slouch. I always say to people, the best way you can actually make sure that you represent the best of who you are is sit at the edge of your chair. Do not ever sit at the back of your chair where you can lean back in the chair, because you tend to sometimes be a bit too comfortable, and then you start really losing the trail of your thought, and you start losing some of the things that you want to say. Sit at the edge of the chair and make sure that the table and the chair gives you enough room to rest your hands, but do not make sure that you actually sit and then slouch forward, because then that defeats the whole purpose of what you're trying to say. Dress the part. It's a virtual interview, but one of the things that we've always learned about the dress code is that your language and your dress code normally speak the same language. So try and dress up the part, because you never know what to expect. If the panel, for example, is dressed and they've got suits and ties, and you rock up at the interview and you're not even dressed like that, it gets to be a bit embarrassing. So please dress the part and be prepared for whatever comes your way. The next 7th point is make connection. I always say to people, I've done one of the videos where it says how to nail your job interview, and one of those is research your panel. Now, once you research your panel, you'll pick up on certain things that you and the panel have in common, and that's how you build a connection. You can't build a connection with somebody that is where there's a screen between the two of you. It's very difficult. So you need to make sure that if you have the names of the panel, you sit down, you go through them on LinkedIn, see what they've done, see the jobs that they've done before, see if there's an alignment between yourself and them, because once you know that, it becomes an icebreaker, and you're able to now start connecting with these people and say, oh, I see you went to this particular campus, or I'm into this university, or I see that you actually like soccer, or you like rugby, or you like this one. So try and connect with the panel that you're actually interviewing with, because it is the only chance that you've got to be able to get these people to know who you are. Number 8, be yourself. Please, guys, do not try and manufacture another brilliant view of who you are not. Be yourself, because either way, you're still going to have to network and connect with these individuals, even if they do employ you. And you do not want them to be surprised by how un-you you are. That will be the worst thing that can ever happen. So be yourself in the interview. One of the key things as recruiters that we try to do is we would actually like to try and find out if you fit into the specific culture of that particular team, because there's normally subcultures: the culture of the environment, the culture of the company, the culture of the subculture of the team. It is also then very, very important that in that interview you bring the authentic you, because you are able to then show people the kind of person that you are. And if they fall in love with that person still needs to be the same person that they work with in the future. The 9th thing, guys, that we need to also think about when it comes to technology is make sure that you have a plan B. Now, I worked and I lived in South Africa for more than 18 years. And one of the things that's happened in the last 12 years is that we've had this thing called load shedding, which is where sometimes the power goes off, or the city power switches off the lights for 3 or 4 hours at a time, and you are in the middle of an interview. Make sure that you actually have plan Bs in case something like that does happen. So if, for example, your laptop is one of those where the battery is not strong enough to last longer, make sure that your phone is close by. And if at any given time the power goes off, you need to be able to say, please give me a minute or so that I can connect with the other technology that I've got. So just make sure that you always have a plan B. For me, that's one of the key things that you need to also have. And then lastly is, as I mentioned, it is very, 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 very important that you actually prepare for any eventuality. Make sure that you also align, or you tell your family members that at this particular time, please do not open the door. Please do not come into the room. So sometimes you might find that you're actually interviewing in an environment where you can't always be free enough to try and just have the interview with no disruptions. So try and have those conversations with the family. So I think for me, those are the top 10 things that you need to do in order to actually nail your job interviews and make sure that you actually start connecting. If these are the kind of videos that you guys want to see, once again, please don't forget to subscribe and don't forget to click like on the button below, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.